Hi, my name is Adriel William, and today's video is for all the foreign trained dentists who are currently applying to dental school and got invites for their interview or who are preparing for their interview for dental schools. I had a couple of candidates who reach out to me and ask me, how can we be more assertive during our interview? How can we sound assertive? By that, they mean, how can we show that we know what we are saying and we are confident people? And how can we do that during our interview? And when I heard this question, I wanted to clarify a couple of things. And I think it's very important for you to know this if you're going to have a dental school interview or any interview in US. The number one thing you need to understand, and I was a victim of this myself as well, is that we look at everything as an exam, whether it's our INBD, we give TOEFL, we give bench exam, and all of these things are exams. So we want to be prepared, we want to look prepared, we want to present in a way that shows that we have done our job. But when it comes to interviews, interviews are not an exam. This is a human being trying to converse with you. And the reason they are having a conversation with you is they are trying to figure out what kind of a person you are. Now, you might want to look like an assertive person because you feel if you're assertive and confident, they will accept you as a student. But one thing I'll tell you from my personal experience from giving interviews, from preparing people, is that interviews or conversations are like a dance. It's, it doesn't mean just because somebody can dance fast or dance very aggressive, that means that he is a good dancer. So just because you're very assertive or you can speak fast or you can speak good or you can speak confidently would make you a good candidate. And when I work with candidates, there are people I literally have to beg them that please, doc, you have to sound more confident. You have to show them that you know what you're speaking about because their personalities are very introverts. And this is funny. Most of the time, when I work with orthodontists, they are very soft spoken introvert people for some reason. Now, on the other hand, if I'm talking to a surgeon, or somebody who was a surgery student or resident, he would be far more assertive. Like, I want this, I've done this, and that's my plan. And with these are two different opposite poles. So whenever I'm working with somebody, I don't teach them to be assertive. What I try to teach them is that I'm going to listen to your story, and you can do this yourself too. For example, you have a question like, tell me about yourself. So you're going to write down your answer. And after you write it down, you practice it a couple of times. So on the day of interview, when they give you this question, even before you start your question, you should know where you're going to end it. Like, for example, if I'm going to say, I was born and raised in Pakistan, and I went to a really good dental school up there, and I did this, and I'm going to bring them all the way to US, where I'm working right now. And beside my education, I like to work out or play basketball or love to make YouTube videos or I'm into suits or something like that. So I should be very specific that even before I start any questions, I should know where I'm leading them and where I'm going to stop. Because if you don't know this, if you don't know where you're taking them and you're just speaking whatever comes into your head, you're going to go astray. You're just going to blabber and say things all over the place, which will make you look either dumb or silly. So if you want to look assertive, I would say don't try to look assertive. The better thing to do is to sound confident and sound like a student who has high emotional intelligence. And a couple of people ask me, how do you build emotional intelligence? How do you read people? How do you understand like the connection between human beings? And I think there are a lot of books on this. There are a lot of videos. I keep posting stuff like this on Instagram. But one book that really changed the corporate face of US is How to Influence Friends by, I think, Dale Carnegie. He revolutionized emotional intelligence. in self-help industry when he wrote down this book. So that's one book I would definitely suggest that you can read. And what I would say is during your interview, you don't want to show that you know everything. And I usually say this, what you want to show is that there are certain things I've done in my life which has taught me or given me the approach to be a good student. But it's not like I know everything, because they are not hiring you to be a faculty up there or a practicing dentist. They are hiring you to be a student up there. So what you want to show them when you're giving answer is that, yes, I can communicate. I am a lifelong learner and I'm willing to be adaptable and malleable in front of you. If you will tell me to sit down, I'll sit down. If you tell me to go to the lab and mix plaster, I'll do that. If you ask me to go and inject the patient, I'll do that. So you want to show that I can follow instruction, I can work in team. And for every person is different. When I work with extroverts, I have to calm them down. I have to slow them down. I ask them that you're speaking too fast because you think too fast and you're giving them too much information. What happens with extroverts is during their interview, they give all the information they have in their first answer. Like they would like to tell everything they have done in their life. And I tell them you have to hold it back a little bit. You can't show all your weapons right away. What you do is give your introduction and wait for the other person to ask you questions, follow-up questions. And then you lead them towards that side. That way you're in control and you're having a back and forth dance. So you want them to ask you and then you answer, and it goes back and forth rather than you doing everything on your own. Now, on the other hand, if I get introverts hate to speak in front of public. It's too much energy, especially talking about their own self. They are emotionally, I usually say, introverts are like holding themselves back emotionally, and they don't like to speak a lot. And when I ask them, tell me about yourself, they would just give a couple of lines and their facial expressions are very blank. You can see they are annoyed. And I have to tell them that interviews are like a theater. Even though you're not an extrovert, just for that 30 minutes or 20 minutes, act like one. It's going to drain you. You would have to give a lot of energy into it, but act like you're an extrovert. Because I've said this in a lot of other videos that interviews are not a fair mechanism. It's not a fair process. There was a research that explained that people who are good looking and people who are extrovert get accepted more in jobs and schools. So for the day of interview, I'm not saying get a plastic surgery and all of that to look beautiful, but what you can do, have good presentation of your room, and along with that, try to come off as an extrovert if you're an introvert. But on the other hand, if you're very high on extroversion and you speak a lot and you speak fast and you have a lot to say, hold yourself back a little bit. So this is the key thing about emotional intelligence. The other thing I tell people is to mirror the energy of the other person. When you turn on the interview or when you walk in and the other person is very excited that, oh, it's really nice to meet you, Adriel, and they are very happy, try to be happy with them. Catch up with their energy and speak in the same manner or at the same energy level where they are speaking. But on the other hand, if the other person is tired, doesn't have time, want the conversation to be straight to the point, do that. Keep it straight to the point. Mirror their energy so they don't get annoyed. And I think that thing builds a rapport with the faculty or with the interviewer as well. So I hope this video regarding interviews might give you a little bit idea is that you don't have to be assertive. You just, number one, should know who you are. You should know your strengths, your weakness, your teamwork experience, why you're a good candidate for that school, your long-term plans in life, how do you manage criticism. You should know all of these things. But along with that, whenever you start a question, you should know where you're going to end. and your mind should be clear where I'm taking them. It's not like in between you're trying to figure out, you're talking about India, Pakistan, or you're talking about Cuba or Venezuela, wherever you're coming from, and then you're jumping back and forth and confusing everybody. You want to follow a linear pattern in explaining your life so it makes it simpler for them. And remember, these are most of your interviewers are American who have never went out of US, most of them. So when you're describing things, describe them in a way that the American ears can understand it. Like if you're saying, I used to play cricket, explain that cricket is similar to baseball, what you have in US. Or if you're talking about football, it might be soccer in US. So these are some key things that you learn when you're having a conversation, so you're at the same level as them. So I hope this video helps you. If you found this useful, do kindly hit the like button. If you think one of your friends or colleague can benefit from this video, kindly do share, because a word of mouth regarding my video or the work I'm doing makes a lot of difference. So do kindly share this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions or if you're preparing for your interview prep and you have a question, write in the comment box. In the description, I have my contact, and hopefully I'll see you in a more meaningful video. Thank you.